Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifty, and sparkly eyeshadows. And today I will be talking about the newest Unearthly All Shimmer, All I Ever Wanted Volume 2 eyeshadow palette. And this palette has all the beautiful, shiny, shifty, metallic, delicious eyeshadows you could ever possibly want. I did also buy the first one, so stay tuned for a video with that palette. I'm not going to be doing swatch comparisons in this video, but stay tuned for a dedicated swatch comparison video because swatch comparisons would make this video pretty long. There's a lot to compare, not just between like all the Unearthly palettes, but also other palettes as well as single eyeshadows. It's just, there's 20 shades to compare, but I'm going to be focusing in the comparison video on just the shifty shades. So not all the shadows in here are duochromes or multi-chromes. Some of them are just really beautiful, shiny metallics. And this palette is on the expensive side, so is the original palette, and they're both $86. With a 10% off coupon, you can get it for $77, which would mean that each of these shades is about $4 each, which is not really bad if you break it down. They are smaller pans though, however. So let's get right into the swatches, the 4 looks, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video. Using Poison from the Witching Hour palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. I'm just going to put that right into my crease. They have sparkles all over my face. I'm just going to pressing it down and up into my crease. And then I'm dipping into Unpleasant Dreams, which is in the Hauntingly Glamorous palette. I'm putting that onto the edges of this. Slowly going in. And then taking Seance Weather on the outer corner from the Hauntingly Glamorous palette. And just blending that. And I'm actually going to use, what should I use? Maybe a little bit of Blood Curdling on the edge of that. Backing into the dark blue. And taking Seance Weather underneath my lower lash line. Just to connect. Putting on some NYX Glitter Primer. Putting down Cross. And then Rain right above that. Ooh, I love this color combination. Super fun. Whoa, that blue is so amazing. Finishing the lower lash line with Dreamer. And I did dampen my brush just so that it would be easier to pick up and put down. Wow, this shade is stunning. It looks like it's almost glowing. It's so bright. And I'm going to take a little bit of Luna because it is extremely translucent. I'm just going to pop that on the inner corner. I put on the Visionary Lashes from Unearthly Cosmetics. And here's the finished look. Dipping into the Witching Hour palette and going in with Grimoire. Right into my crease. Taking Fern from the Fairy Frolic palette. And putting that right onto the edges. Blend it away a little bit. There we go. Going in with Juicy from the Strawberry Milkshake palette on the outer corner. Just gonna tap it out here, trying to keep it contained to this outer corner. And I'm gonna use Grimoire to blend out the edges of that. And then I'm gonna take a somewhat cleaner brush and just go over the edges and taking some light powder and further blending that out. Ooh, look at that blend. Going back in with a little bit more of Juicy right here. And again, just a little bit of powder here. Putting down some NYX glitter primer. And taking Stoker. Whoa, this is beautiful. It has like gold flecks throughout it. It is so special. This is a beautiful shade. Wow. And then I'm gonna take Dolly right above that. Whoa. Okay, pigmentation. This is so stunning. These two especially together. Going back in with a little bit more Stoker. Okay, I love these two shades. And they're kind of mixing in to be like orangey, which is really fun. Finishing off this look with Terra underneath my lower lash line. I did spray my brush just so that it would be easier to pick up and put down. Here's the third finished look. I put on the Visionary lashes from Unearthly Cosmetics. Dipping into the Leather and Lace palette, going in with Vintage right into the crease. I'm going to do a semi-monochromatic look. Just dipping into these greens. This is actually the second time now I'm using these greens. I did wear them yesterday, trying to just really get a feel for this palette. So I can do my June palette ranking. I feel like I just did the one for May, and I can't believe I'm already like ramping up to do the one for June. They go by so fast. So then I'm taking Olive on the outer corner. I'm just kind of blending it outwards. I go out too far, but enough. And then I'm taking Leather, and that's just gonna go and deepen up like right in here. I don't want to bring it up too much into the creasy area. I really want to keep it on the lid just to deepen that up. And then going back in with a little bit of Olive just to blend this out here. And then I'm taking the number 10 brush from Unearthly Cosmetics and Olive, and I'm just going to connect my lower lash line. This is obviously a liner brush, but since it's so little, I think it's going to fit under there great. And then I'm going to blend a little bit of Vintage into that as well. And then taking a little bit of Leather just to deepen it up so it matches the top. I'm going to use some of their shimmer base. So I'm just going to put that pretty much all over the lid. And I'm going to do almost like a half cut crease with it. Just really spreading it around using the number 4 brush. And then I do usually like to just tap on it just to really make sure I don't have too much on and that it's tacky. So I'm going to go in with Velvet, which is this super shifty shade. Reminds me of Big Bang from Terra Moons and Verte from Clionadh. Definitely going to do a swatch comparison. And then using Shiva, and that's going to go right above that. So beautiful. I got a little bit of fallout from the green shade, but hopefully I'll be able to just get rid of it. And then I'm going to use Saber as my inner corner highlight. I'm just going to use my pinky. Look at that. That is so beautiful. The shade is so shifty. Put on the Unearthly lashes in Boundless, and here's the finished look. Let's take a peek at the shift. Priming with the Gimme Go eyeshadow primer. Going in with Day Job from the Not Normal palette. We're dipping into some of the cooler browns in this palette. And I'm going to use Basic to feather out the edges of that. But I'm going to build it up a bit. Back in with Day Job. And then taking Smoke on the outer corner. I'm going to take it just a little bit into the crease. And then I'm going to be using Basic to blend out the edges of that. Go back in with a little bit more. I do need to kind of match it up with the other side. Back in with basic on the edges. And then taking smoke underneath my lower lash line, just connecting it. And then taking sage underneath the rest of my lower lash line. Putting on some NYX glitter primer all over the lid. And taking Night. I'm going to put that right in the center of my lid. I'm going to leave some space in the inner portion of my lid. Oh, that is so shiny. And then taking Secret on the inner portion of my lid. Getting just a little bit of fallout. These are a little bit flakier, but not like in a dry way or weird way. And then I'm going to use my pinky and I'm going to apply Stone as my inner corner highlight. And here's the finished look. I really enjoy this palette. I think you can create so many looks. You can pair them with your favorite mattes and just reach for this palette. For the shimmers, you got a really nice assortment of some golds, yellows, greens, purples. And to me, between this having beautiful shimmer shadows and the fact that there's just such a variety, I feel like the palette is worth it. Is it, you know, pretty expensive? It is, but like I said, it breaks down to about $4-ish per shadow. Not all the shades are duochromes or multi-chrome or shifty at all, but I still think that it's worth it for the ones that are in here that are really beautiful and shifty, because if you wanted to get something like that as a single eyeshadow, you'll probably have to pay about $15, $16 or more dollars for a pan of something similar to some of these shades. About at least half of the palette is some sort of like a shift or a duochrome effect. And then this shade right here is like a black based multi-chrome that feels super smooth, very beautiful and metallic. And this one shifts from a green to a blue, like a dark blue. I really like that they really switched out the assortment of colors that you have in this palette. Versus the first palette, you've got quite a bit more of some yellow tones as well as some greens. So it's something to keep in mind if you're considering getting this palette. What are your favorite shades to wear? Something that you would see yourself wearing a lot, especially for the price tag. You want to make sure that you're getting shades that you know you're going to use. There are a couple of different textures, as I mentioned. This one down here is just super silky, smooth, black based multi-chrome. And then I think you can see just like from the way that the pans look that Luna, Secret, and Night are a little bit on the like chunky side. They're not dry, but if you do put on too much, you might risk some skin texture accentuation, but they really smooth out, especially if you're using your fingers to apply them actually. The rest of these are just beautiful and smooth and super shiny and metallic. I think one of my favorite shades in here is actually Stoker, because it is a red with gold flecks throughout it, and it is just so dimensional and so beautiful. While it doesn't necessarily shift, it's because of all the flecks throughout it that just really makes it a beautiful dimensional shade. There are two shades, however, in this palette that I feel like are a little bit too similar to each other, and that is Storm and Jinx. Even just like in this view, like while they do shift differently, this one shifts to more of like an aqua. But if you were to use these two together on the lid, I don't think you could really tell much of a difference between them. And while there's no iridescent shades in here, there are a couple of shades that are on the sheer side. So for example, Saber, like while it looks very yellow, you can really sheer it out, especially when you blend it out. And if you go in with just like a light hand, just kind of tap it on or swipe on just a little bit, then you will get the sheer effect. So is it Desdemona, which is this one right here. This one also you can sheer out, you can also build up, especially if you use some sort of a tacky primer. You can definitely get them to be more opaque. So there's just a lot of versatility here. You don't have to use a glitter primer. You can use a glitter primer. You can just go in with your finger, or you could use a dampened brush. None of these are like really squishy. Like even Luna, I would have thought that it was going to be maybe a little squishy, or Secret. Secret is a little bit squishy, but I think that one is a little squishier because of just it's flakier, so it's kind of a little bit like seems to be poofed up, and that's why it's a little squishy. But none of these feel really wet, which makes me happy, because that way I know I'm not really going to be having many creasing issues, or I'm just a lot less likely to have any creasing issues with this palette. So those are all my thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments below which look was your favorite, and if you picked this palette up, what do you think of it? I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content uploading on my channel and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.